All right, folks, you know what it is. International Fight Week 2023 is upon us. Thank you for checking in to our UFC 290 betting preview presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Jon Anik alongside the UFC Hall of Famer, my brother Daniel Cormier. T-City's in the building. Brian Ortega is here. Good to see the top featherweight contender and, of course, the undisputed UFC bantamweight champion and Olympic gold medalist, Aljamain Sterling.
You actually did it. You're the man,
Let's
bro.
go.
You are the man, dog.
All right, we have a lot to get into today. We are going to center our betting preview on the top 3 fights on the pay-per-view, but I just want to point out a couple things off the top. Our pay-per-view opener, Bo Nickel, is taking on the late notice replacement, Val Woodburn, and we're just presenting this as information. Bo Nickel right now on DraftKings Sportsbook, minus 2,400. He would close as the biggest betting favorite in UFC history.
That's crazy because I have seen Amanda Nunes be unreal favorite. And to say that Bo Nickel would be an even bigger favorite than that is crazy. But that is also speaking to what people see in the matchup, right? They don't know if Val can wrestle. But I'm telling you, we spoke to this kid today. Dude is not scared of Bo Nickel. And Aljo, you got a little bit of that Jamaican blood in him.
I know, that's some good, hey, something in the water over there in Jamaica. So I wouldn't be surprised if he catches him with something, but I'm not 100% sure that he's going to actually get the W. I'm not going to go that far, but it makes it interesting for sure.
T-City, one other fight of note, Robbie Lawler making his final walk. We had our fighter meeting with him, and this is going to be his final walk to the octagon. Plus 220 underdog against Nico Price. A lot of people see value. They think they're going to get a big effort out of Robbie as he walks off into the sunset.
Yeah, dude, I think it's going to be, I hope he wins.
Yeah.
You know, anytime you see someone who's going to retire, you wish them like a grateful out, right? It's like go in there, walk in there, get your mind right. You've been in the sport for a long time.
Yeah.
So go out there, give the world one last beautiful show.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, just sail into the sunset.
2000, Robbie Lawler told us today he made his debut in fighting. 23 years this man has been fighting. And today, he's probably the most gracious with his time that we've ever had in terms of a fighter meeting with Robbie Lawler. Taking it all in as much as he can.
It's amazing to hear his fellow fighters talk about just how special Robbie Lawler is, and he puts a capstone on his career at UFC 290. But we are going to begin our preview here with this featured bout in the UFC's middleweight division. This is definitely a title eliminator between the former champion and future Hall of Famer Robert Whittaker. He is minus 400 against the South African Dricus du Plessis, who is plus 300. I don't have to tell this panel, the only man to beat Robert Whittaker since 2014 won Israel Adesanya. Odds makers, Johnny Avello and the like, suggesting that du Plessis is up against it. Your thoughts on this feature bout at 85?
Well, when you start to think about Robert Whittaker, you start thinking in historical terms, what would we be viewing this guy as if not for Israel Adesanya? He has not lost to anyone since 14. That would be almost a decade of being undefeated and still the UFC champion. He has proven time and time again why he is going to go down as one of the greatest middleweights of all time. But in Dricus du Plessis, you have a young guy that's motivated to really make his mark in this division. This dude is 5-0, and he barely got here. I remember him fresh-faced, young and excited about just being in the UFC. Today he finds himself on the verge of a title shot. Many may not believe in him, but I'm telling you right now, du Plessis in his corner, Brian, they're very confident that they can get the job done.
So some money has come in on du Plessis. He's plus 300. You've obviously been in a lot of big spots. You've been a betting favorite a lot in your UFC career. But from what you've seen from the South African thus far, you think he's ready for this type of challenge?
This is going to be the make it or break it, right? This is going to be like you're going to finally step into that league of these guys who you don't play with, right? There's fighters that you build your resume with, and there's fighters that help you make your resume. Mm-hmm. And obviously this is one of them for him, right? This is going to showcase whether you are ready for that, or if you got to go and take some time and go back to the gym and see what holes get exposed, if there is any, right? Or you make a statement. And then, let's go. You're ready.
I remember a fresh-faced Brian Ortega in the Frankie Edgar situation, right? That was your make or break.
That was exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah.
But even then, you know, you like I said, these fights are obviously when you put the 4-ounce gloves, anything can happen.
Yeah.
But these are the types of fights that I feel like the fans want to see, right? Where you see this hungry young blood and these guys who've been at the top for a long time who seem to just not go anywhere.
Aljo, you seem like a betting man. Would you bet this fight? Robert Whittaker, 4-1 favorite right now?
I mean, it's hard to to bet against Bobby Knuckles. It really is. That guy just beats anyone other than Israel Adesanya. And even against Israel Adesanya, it's a close fight. Very, very close fight, especially in that last one, that rematch. With this one, I do like Duplessis. The one thing I do have a question about is his conditioning, his cardio factor that everyone seems to be talking about constantly. And I heard that he made some adjustments and it was something with a health thing.
He had a deviated septum surgery.
Yeah, and we're going to see if that makes a big difference, because if it does, that's a game changer for a guy like that to come in, that physically built, that type of specimen comes in as the young blood and can really shake some things up at that division.
All right, perhaps the fight I'm most excited to probe you guys on. I mean, we want to talk to T-City, of course, about the main event, but fascinating backdrop, right, to this co-headliner for the undisputed UFC Flyweight Championship. Brandon Moreno, price has moved around a little bit, but right now, minus 190 on DraftKings Sportsbook. The comeback on Pantoja is plus 160. So, Aljo, let me start with you on this fight. There's history between these two gentlemen. They fought in an exhibition on The Ultimate Fighter. Pantoja finished Moreno. Then they fought in 2018 in Chile, and it was a unanimous decision win for Alexandre Pantoja. He's the underdog this weekend as he tries to wrest away the belt.
I think that's the right call for him to be the underdog, just because of how Brandon Moreno has been doing so well, climbing the ranks, obviously becoming a champion, this crazy saga that he has with Figueiredo, and just showing his stripes and what he's really made of, that Mexican, that just, I don't even know what to call it. He just has that aura about him, and I think he's kind of coming into his own. And the one thing I do like about this, I do like that Pantoja is still very dangerous when he gets to that back, and if there's someone who appreciates the back take is myself, and I'm pretty sure Brian Ortega as well. Yeah, so I think Moreno has come into his own and has made a lot of changes, and I think his growth is going to show in this fight.
Brian, 5 consecutive title fights for Brandon Moreno.
I was just about to be like, yo, like, this guy has made an incredible turn in his life, right? Where it comes from these battles with Figueiredo, these 5 title fights, being at the top for so long, training. I was watching some videos on how good he's looking with his boxing and crisp, and just he right when I thought that he would, like, all right, he's good and let's see how he does, then I watched more film and I'm like, damn, this guy's getting better. And he has this different kind of funny style, but when you see it work, it's like, I admire it. And I think that for him, I feel like it's a perfect fight because it's going to feel that hunger, right? Because you have these fights that feel your ego, I want to say. Right? This guy beat me twice, but I'm the champ. Hold up. Let me seal it right now with the stamp and get you out of the way. That way no one can ever say anything. And as a fighter, you know that if you have lost to someone, you want to do anything in your power to make that right again.
Pantoja did beat him twice. He also tried to upstage him a little bit backstage after Moreno's last title fight against Davison Figueiredo. But Pantoja's a dog, man.
You know, that's what I was going to say. You know, you boys are Brandon Moreno groupies over here.
Bro, Mexico.
Brandon Moreno this.
You hater.
Brandon Moreno this. But let me play the other side of the coin. Hey, there was a guy, a gentleman, very well-trained gentleman. His name was Clubber Lang. And Clubber Lang chased down Rocky Balboa, and he chased down Rocky Balboa, and he tried to fight him, and he never could. And he watched that man go to heights that he knew that he could beat him. You got Pantoja, who actually has the wins, and he's been chasing down Brandon Moreno. When he won that fight against Brandon Royval in the Apex, I asked him, I said, dude, you have to be the #1 contender. That had to be a year and a half ago. He's been sitting. He's been waiting. He's hungry. And he has the information of 2 victories to give him confidence. And when speaking to him, he has no doubt that he gets this done. So for as good as the Assassin Baby has been and how good he looks, this guy Pantoja, man, he is the real deal, and he expects to become the champion this weekend.
Pantoja just an underdog for the 3rd time in the UFC. He's plus 160.
Jay. How?
Well,
he won 2 times.
He's never been finished. I think, to T-City's point, it's sort of rooted in the championship experience, what we all see as marked boxing improvements, the mental evolution for Moreno. Real quick, before we get to the main event, are you betting this fight? Pantoja plus 160, Moreno about 2-1 favorite.
That's a lot of pressure right there.
It's safe.
Listen, I like Moreno. I've trained with Moreno. I'm going to go with Moreno.
Okay. All right.
It would seem to be safe, right? If you're going to bet anybody, Jay, you bet the guy that's won 2 times as the dog.
I'm just glad that we called these
We don't have to, but I'm just saying.
As a dog, there is some value there. So I give you that.
All right, let us dive in to your International Fight Week headliner at UFC 290. Featherweight Championship Unification bout. Alexander Volkanovski minus 380 Yair Rodriguez plus 290. There are a lot of reasons why Brian Ortega is with us today, right? He's a handsome man. He's a top contender. But you
that
also
one threw me off.
But you also have
right.
experience against these two gentlemen. So with that backdrop, give us your forecast for what could be an epic unification bout in your division.
Mine is more for selfish reasons. I would like Yair to win I see it as like a decision win. But because me and him have an unfinished story to tell, right? And with both guys, you know. But for Volk, I have to earn my way back up. And with Yair, if he wins, well, that will put me just right back in there. So who doesn't want to go straight into camp for a championship fight? And I just see it as a great fight, man. These guys Volk is very smart. He has a great team who will study the heck out of you.
Yeah.
And you know, Yair's been over there in training at 10,000 feet elevation. As he always has, he has cardio for days. Both of them do. And it's going to be interesting to see this Muay Thai style against this kind of, he's like karate type kick style. You know, it's going to be very different. And obviously, in the long run, he who scores the most points is going to win.
Yeah.
So
I think
that's why I'm seeing it.
You're in a great spot regardless. If you don't know Brian Ortega, the man who came the closest significantly to finishing Alexander Volkanovski in the octagon. So I think you're in a pretty good spot regardless. DC, let me spin this to you. That plus 320 next to Yair Rodriguez no longer available, down to plus 290, but still a monster number next to a fighter that is one of one and really unlike any other athlete on the roster.
Yeah, you know, this is a great number for a guy that the last time we saw him, he looked better than we've ever seen. The beating he put on Josh Emmett really was never competitive. And you're talking about a guy in Emmett who would seem to have been the next guy. They're in an interim title fight, so obviously they are next up for the champion. He's long. He's tall. He's got very diverse striking. And Yair Rodriguez can submit you if you play with him on the ground. But when you talk about Volk, man, we are talking about a guy with one of the highest fight IQs that I've ever seen inside the octagon. He doesn't get tired, and he seems to make adjustments on the fly in there. This matchup is so good. I always spoke about Piotr Jan downloading information. That's what it seems like Volkanovski does whenever he's in the octagon. Well, dude, I'm talking about the first time. You won the second fight, fair and square. The first fight, I'm talking about he made adjustments on the fly. We saw him do it with O'Malley. We've seen him do it time and time again.
I just hear it.
I think that Volkanovski is one of those same guys with the high fight IQ champ. Look at the champ.
Well, we were actually happy to let you know that one of the names that Alexander Volkanovski uttered in our fighter meeting today in terms of future opponents was none other than the Funkmaster Aljamain Sterling.
Watch yourself, Funkmaster.
We know that 45 is probably in your future, but what are your thoughts on this particular matchup? And since we are doing a DraftKings betting preview, I am curious what you think about that big number next to Yair's name.
I think there's a lot of value with that for Yair Rodriguez. I think he brings a very different style and a technique that Volkanovski hasn't really seen yet. Guys who kick well like that, who are very on the fly, very diverse, can start throwing elbows from these weird places. That's a very dangerous, tricky guy to fight. He's super long. He's confident off of his back now. The last guy that took him down was Frankie Edgar, right? And put a beating on him. Came back, made those adjustments. Josh Emmett, he catches a kick, takes him down. And what does he do? He hits him with a triangle choke. Well, you never think Yair Rodriguez is going to hit somebody with a triangle choke off of his back. But he lit him up on the feet first, and I think that's the difference. But again, betting against Volkanovski is kind of like betting against Mayweather. At this point, that's what it kind of feels like, if there is any comparison. But as you said before, you put those 4-ounce gloves on, anything can happen. And this is why we love the sport of MMA, because this is where the craziest things happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a big upset.
That is an interesting comparison in terms of Volk, right? 9-0 as a favorite on DraftKings Sportsbook, at least in terms of cash, and he's been pretty good at the window, so we'll see how it goes. All right, so we like to do at the end of our betting preview is build a same game or same fight parlay. We each pick some proposition or even just a money line wager. We throw them all together, and man, do we have a juicy one for you today. So, Brian, I'm going to start with you. You like Yair Rodriguez to win, and he's plus 290. Ultimately, why do you see him springing this big upset this weekend?
He's going to be fast on his feet. He's going to be kicking. He's going to be evading. He's going to be just accumulating all those punches and kicks. And one impressive fight was, like I said, when you saw him with Max. You didn't think that maybe he could hang in there, but he did. Right. If anything, some of those scorecards were pretty close. So I feel like he has the speed. He has very unique, awkward strikes that you have no idea where they're going to come from. And that's something that a lot of people can't prepare for, you know?
Yeah.
So I call it a decision and him just accumulating time after time.
Every time he fights, I can't believe how fast that kid is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Aljo, total over under 3.5 rounds. You like under 3.5 plus 120. That's a broadcaster's dream. You think we're getting a finish?
I think there's a high possibility of getting a finish. When you're talking guys that kick the way that Yair Rodriguez does, that's a recipe for disaster, especially if he can hit the liver and bang it a couple times. That can make things very, very interesting. Even if he gets taken down, gets the kick caught, up kicks from Yair, making it dangerous. And of course, he could submit you over his back, as we've seen before.
Right.
And then we got Volkanovski, has a big overhand. He could also put the finishing touches with Josh Emmett. Did knock down Yair, or should I say he wobbled him pretty bad in that last fight. And I could see Volkanovski catching him with the same thing.
All right, DC, you went over 90 strikes landed by Yair Rodriguez. Kind of chalky, minus 215. Pretty safe bet.
Well, it's a safe bet, but it's because I believe that they're going to fight long. I don't agree with the champ. The champ feels like it's going to be a shorter fight. I feel like this is a good decision. You may cash in. But I'm saying, like, I feel like they're going to fight for a long time, and I feel like it's going to be a very competitive fight.
Yeah.
It's going to be tit for tat. It'll be guys going back and forth. They will be getting after each other, and I believe that Yair Rodriguez will find success inside the octagon and prove to be much tougher a challenge than many people are giving him credit for. Volkanovski was on the other side of the coin last time against Makhachev, and he surprised people. I feel like he will not be surprised because he expects Yair Rodriguez to be very tough.
Our well put, champ. And our parlay is a little bit Rodriguez heavy, so I'm going to go one knockdown or more for Alexander Volkanovski. So you might want to get involved. A lot of ways to attack the board this weekend. All right, we got voices to save. These guys got things to attend to. With that, for Daniel Cormier, Brian Ortega, and Aljamain Sterling, I'm Jon Anik. Thank you for watching the UFC 290 betting preview presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. We'll see you on pay-per-view Saturday night. When UFC fighters battle it out inside the octagon, you can't blink because every instant is a chance for action. So DraftKings has an offer for you that's just as fast. Get $150 instantly in bonus bets when you bet just $5. So no matter what happens once the bell rings, you get paid. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up with the promo code, and bet $5 to get $150 instantly. DraftKings, bringing you the ultimate action on UFC.